When my mom called and said, "Come early, we'll celebrate properly," I actually smiled. That alone should tell you how rarely that happened. Celebrations in my family were usually rushed, conditional, or centered around someone else. But this time felt different, or at least I wanted it to. She sounded warm on the phone, almost excited. "It'll be nice," she said. "Just family. I want some time with you and with Lily." Lily, my 8-year-old daughter. I hesitated for a second before agreeing, but then I pushed the feeling aside. Maybe this was growth. Maybe this was her trying. I told Lily we were going to Grandma's early for a celebration dinner. "What are we celebrating?" she asked, swinging her backpack onto the floor. "Us," I said, smiling. "Family." Her face lit up immediately. She loved any chance to feel included, loved being seen. That should have been my first warning. We arrived just after 4 in the afternoon. My mom's house looked the same as always. Perfectly trimmed hedges, front door freshly painted, windows spotless. Presentation had always mattered more to her than comfort. She opened the door with a tight smile that widened only slightly when she saw Lily. "Oh," she said, "you're here already. You told us to come early," I replied gently. "Yes, well, come in," she said, stepping aside. Inside, the house buzzed with activity. My sister's kids were already there, running through the living room. My brother was helping set up the backyard. Laughter floated through the air. Lily stood close to my side, gripping my hand. I noticed immediately that something was off. There was a long table set in the dining room, beautifully arranged. Place cards, centerpieces, but one chair was tucked slightly off to the side, near the end. I saw Lily's name on it, written smaller than the others. "Mom," I said quietly, "why is Lily's seat separate?" She waved a hand dismissively. "Oh, it's nothing. Just easier for serving." I nodded, but my stomach tightened. Lily didn't say anything. She never did at first. My mom handed out small gift bags to the other kids, bright colors, ribbons tied neatly at the top. Lily watched silently. "Is there one for Lily?" I asked. "Oh," my mom said, pausing. "Those are just little treats. Not really meant for her." "For her?" I repeated. "She's younger," my mom said. "She won't notice." Lily noticed. She always noticed. I knelt down. "Hey, sweetheart, why don't you go sit outside for a bit? I'll be right there." She nodded and walked away quietly, shoulders slightly hunched. Something inside me cracked, but softly, like a hairline fracture. Dinner was served half an hour later. Plates were full, portions generous, except Lily's. Her plate had noticeably less food. My sister laughed. "Oh wow, portion control already," she joked. My mom chuckled. "We don't want to waste food." I stared at her. "She eats just fine. She doesn't need all that." My mom replied coolly. "Let the adults enjoy." Lily poked at her food with her fork, eyes down. "Mom," I said quietly, "this is supposed to be a celebration." "It is," she said. "Just not everything has to revolve around one child." That was it. That sentence. Not everything has to revolve around one child. I looked around the table. At the extra gifts. The laughter. The attention lavished on everyone else. Then I looked at my daughter, trying to take up as little space as possible. And suddenly I saw it clearly. This wasn't accidental. This wasn't thoughtless. This was intentional. She hadn't invited us early to celebrate. She'd invited us early to establish hierarchy. To remind my daughter, quietly, politely, that she was less. And I realized something terrifying. I had spent years excusing this behavior when it was directed at me. But now it wasn't just me. It was my child. I reached over and placed my hand on Lily's. "Finish what you want," I said gently. "We're leaving soon." She looked up at me, surprised. "Already?" "Yes," I said, meeting her eyes. "We've stayed long enough." Across the table, my mom stiffened. "What do you mean by that?" she asked. I looked at her calmly. "I mean, this isn't a celebration." Her smile tightened. "You're being dramatic." "No," I replied. "I'm being observant." The room went quiet. And in that silence, I understood something deeply. This wasn't about one dinner. This was about years of quiet disrespect. And the moment I decided it would not touch my daughter ever again. The drive home was quiet. Lily stared out the window, tracing invisible shapes in the glass with her finger. She didn't cry. She didn't complain. That silence hurt more than tears ever could. "Did I do something wrong?" she finally asked, her voice small but steady. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel. "No, sweetheart, you didn't do anything wrong." "Then why didn't Grandma want me there?" she asked. I swallowed. Sometimes grown-ups have problems that have nothing to do with kids. She nodded, but I could tell she didn't fully understand. How could she? I barely understood it myself for years. When we got home, Lily went straight to her room. I stood in the kitchen, still wearing my coat, staring at nothing. My phone buzzed. "Mom." I didn't answer. Then my sister texted, "You embarrass Mom." That was unnecessary. Unnecessary. I typed and deleted several responses before finally putting the phone down. I wasn't going to explain something that should have been obvious. That night, I sat on Lily's bed as she brushed her teeth. "Am I still part of the family?" she asked casually, like she was asking what was for breakfast tomorrow. My heart cracked open. "Always," I said immediately. "You are my family." She smiled, reassured, and climbed into bed. I didn't sleep much that night. Memories resurfaced. Small moments I'd brushed off for years. Being seated at the kids' table well into adulthood. Being the last to be served. Being told I was too sensitive whenever something hurt. I had accepted it because it was familiar. But watching it directed at my daughter stripped away every excuse. The next morning, my mom called again. I answered this time. "You made a scene," she said without greeting. "I protected my child," I replied. "She's too young to understand," my mom snapped. "You're projecting." "No," I said calmly. She understood perfectly. There was a pause. Then my mom sighed. "You always do this. You overreact and turn everyone against me." I almost laughed. "Almost. I didn't turn anyone against you," I said. "I just left." "Well," she said sharply, "if you can't accept how things work in this family, maybe you shouldn't come around." The words hung in the air. Maybe you shouldn't come around. I felt something shift inside me. Not anger, not sadness. Clarity. "Okay," I said quietly. She went silent. "Okay." "Yes," I repeated. "If my daughter isn't welcome, neither am I." She scoffed. "You're choosing her over family?" "I am choosing my child over dysfunction," I replied. "You're being ridiculous," she said. "No," I answered. "I'm being done." I hung up before she could respond. For the first time in my life, I didn't wait for permission to protect myself or my child. Later that day, Lily came into the kitchen, holding a drawing. It was 3 stick figures holding hands. Me, her, and a big heart over our heads. "This is our family," she said. I hugged her tightly. "Yes," I whispered. "This is our family." The following days were heavy but strangely peaceful. No group texts. No guilt-laced calls. Just quiet. My sister unfriended me on social media. My brother didn't reach out. And my mom stayed silent. I expected to feel lonely. Instead, I felt lighter. One evening, Lily asked, "Are we still going to Grandma's house again?" I knelt beside her. "Not for a while." "Okay," she said simply. "I like our house better anyway." I smiled through tears. That night, I wrote something down in my journal. Love that makes you smaller is not love. And for the first time, I believed it. A week passed without a word from my mother. No calls. No messages. No passive-aggressive check-ins disguised as concern. That silence was new and revealing. I used to be the one who reached out first. The one who smoothed things over. The one who apologized even when I hadn't done anything wrong. But this time I didn't. Lily and I settled into a new rhythm. Mornings were calmer. Evenings quieter. There was no anticipation of family dinners, no mental rehearsal of how to keep the peace. One afternoon, Lily asked, "Why does Grandma like my cousins more?" The question landed softly, but it landed. I sat beside her on the couch, choosing my words carefully. "Sometimes adults don't know how to be fair," I said. "That doesn't mean you're less important." She nodded. "I don't think I want to go back there." "Neither do I," I replied. That honesty felt like a release. A few days later, my sister showed up at my door. She didn't knock gently. She knocked like someone who expected to be let in. "You really messed things up," she said as soon as I opened the door. "Hi to you too." I replied. She stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. Mom's been crying all week. I crossed my arms. About what? About you turning her into a villain, she snapped. It was one dinner. It was one pattern, I corrected. She rolled her eyes. You're being dramatic. Lily wasn't harmed. I took a breath. She was excluded. That is harm. My sister scoffed. Kids forget. Some kids do, I said. Some grow up remembering exactly who made them feel small. That stopped her. She looked around my living room, then back at me. So what? You're just cutting us off now. I'm setting boundaries, I replied. You're welcome to respect them. She laughed bitterly. You've always thought you were better than us. I smiled sadly. No. I just stopped accepting less. She left soon after, slamming the door behind her. That night, my mom finally texted. You've changed. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I replied. I've grown. She didn't respond. Days turned into weeks. The family group chat remained silent, at least toward me. I later learned they'd started a new one without us. It stung. I won't lie, but it also confirmed something I needed to know. Inclusion had always been conditional. One evening, Lily and I baked cookies together. She accidentally spilled flour everywhere and burst into laughter. This would have made Grandma mad, she said. I froze. Why do you think that? She doesn't like messes, Lily replied. Or noise. I crouched down to her level. You never have to be quiet or perfect here. She smiled, flour on her cheeks. Good. That moment mattered more than any apology I never received. Later that night, I received a message from my mom. Your brother's birthday is next week. You can come if you want. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just an invitation, with conditions implied. I didn't respond. Instead, I sat down and wrote a letter I never sent. In it, I explained everything. The favoritism. The small humiliations. The way Lily had been treated. Writing it helped, even if she never read it. The truth was, I didn't need her to understand anymore. I needed to protect my peace, and my daughter's sense of worth. That night, Lily hugged me and said, I feel safe. 2 words, but they carried more weight than years of forced family unity. I kissed her forehead and turned off the light. As I closed her bedroom door, I realized something important. Walking away didn't break the family. It revealed it. The family didn't disappear all at once. They lingered, on the edges of my life, in indirect messages, in mutual friends' comments, in the quiet judgment that followed me like a shadow. At Lily's school pickup one afternoon, a neighbor asked casually, Haven't seen your mom around lately. I smiled politely. We're taking space. She raised her eyebrows, but didn't press. That became my default response. Taking space. It sounded neutral, reasonable, temporary, but the truth was heavier. One night, Lily had a bad dream. She crawled into my bed, clutching her stuffed rabbit. She said I wasn't special, Lily whispered, half asleep. My chest tightened. Who said that? Grandma, she murmured. I held her close, my heart breaking quietly in the dark. She didn't need details. She needed safety, and I needed resolve. The next morning, I sent a message to my mother. Do not contact Lily unless you're willing to treat her with kindness and equality. She replied hours later. You're overreacting. She's too sensitive. That was it. No apology. No accountability. Just dismissal. I blocked her number. It felt drastic. It also felt necessary. In the weeks that followed, I learned how much of my emotional energy had been spent anticipating her reactions. Without that constant tension, I slept better. I laughed more. Lily changed too. She stopped asking if she was allowed to do things. Allowed to speak loudly. Allowed to ask for seconds. Allowed to exist fully. One afternoon, she asked, Why did Grandma never clap for me at my school plays? I paused, because sometimes people don't know how to show love the right way. Is that my fault? She asked. No, I said firmly. Never. She nodded, absorbing it like truth settling into place. A month later, my brother called. Mom's really struggling, he said. With what? I asked. With you cutting her off, he replied. I didn't cut her off, I said. I set conditions. He sighed. You know how she is. Yes, I said. That's why this happened. He was quiet. She misses Lily, he said finally. I miss having a mother who protected me, I replied. That ended the conversation. Holidays came and went. We made our own traditions. Pancakes for dinner. Movie nights. Small, joyful things that didn't come with emotional costs. One night, Lily looked up from her coloring and said, I like our family. I smiled. Me too. Months later, my mom sent a letter. Handwritten. I opened it slowly. It was short. I don't understand why you're doing this, but I hope one day you'll forgive me. No apology. No acknowledgement of harm. Just hope. I folded the letter and placed it in a drawer. Forgiveness, I realized, didn't mean access. It meant peace. And peace was something I was no longer willing to trade. The first time I questioned my decision was during Lily's school recital. Parents filled the auditorium, phones raised, smiles wide. I scanned the room instinctively, looking for familiar faces I knew wouldn't be there. My mom had never missed my recitals. She'd sat in the front row, correcting my posture with her eyes, clapping politely, reminding me afterward of what I could have done better. Now she wasn't there at all. Lily spotted me immediately and waved from the stage, her grin wide and unfiltered. I clapped loudly, proudly. When the show ended, Lily ran into my arms. Did you see me? I saw everything, I said. That night, while Lily slept, doubt crept in. Was I being too harsh? Had I overreacted? Then I remembered Lily's plate at the dinner table. Smaller, separate, and the doubt dissolved. A few days later, my aunt called. I hear there's tension, she said gently. There's clarity, I replied. She sighed. Your mother did the best she could. So did I said. The conversation ended politely, but without resolution. That seemed to be the theme now. No closure, just distance. One evening, Lily asked, Will Grandma come to my birthday? I took a breath. Not this year. She nodded. Okay. Can we invite my friends instead? Yes, I said, smiling. We can invite whoever we want. Her birthday was small, simple, joyful. No comparisons, no favoritism, no emotional undercurrents, just laughter. After the guests left, Lily hugged me tightly. This was the best birthday. I believed her. Weeks later, I received a message from my mother's neighbor. Your mom isn't well. She talks about Lily all the time. I felt a twinge of guilt, but it didn't overpower the truth. Missing someone doesn't excuse mistreating them. I wrote back politely, thanking her for the concern, and left it at that. One night, I sat alone on the porch, thinking about how much of my life I'd spent trying to earn warmth that should have been given freely. I thought about my own childhood, how early I learned to stay quiet, to accommodate, and I realized something important. Breaking patterns doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like choosing a different table, a different kind of celebration. Lily came outside and sat beside me. I like when it's just us, she said. I wrapped my arm around her. Me too. She rested her head on my shoulder. And in that quiet moment, I knew I'd chosen right. Time didn't heal everything, but it clarified it. Months passed, and life kept moving forward in small, ordinary ways. School mornings, grocery runs, homework spread across the kitchen table. Lily grew taller, louder, more confident. She stopped asking for permission to take up space. That alone told me I'd done the right thing. One afternoon, while folding laundry, Lily held up one of her dresses and said, I'm wearing this to the talent show. That's perfect, I said. It's a little sparkly, she added, watching my reaction. I smiled. Sparkly is good. She beamed. I realized then how much she'd been measuring herself before, gauging reactions, adjusting, shrinking just a little. That habit was fading now, and I was grateful every single day that I hadn't ignored that dinner, that plate, that chair at the edge of the table, because moments like that don't disappear. They settle, and children carry them quietly. Around that same time, my mother reached out again. Not directly, through my aunt. She wants to see Lily, my aunt said carefully. Just a quick visit. She says she's reflected. Has she taken responsibility? I asked. There was a pause. She thinks you misunderstood her intentions. I closed my eyes. That's not reflection, I said. That's denial. My aunt sighed. She's old. She won't change. I know, I replied. That's why I have to. That night, I sat at the kitchen table long after Lily went to bed. I thought about forgiveness, about family, about the version of myself that would have accepted an apology that never came. I understood now that forgiveness didn't mean reopening doors that led to the same harm. It meant releasing myself from the hope that things would be different. And that was freeing. A few weeks later, Lily came home from school upset. One of the kids said my family is weird, she said, eyes glossy. I knelt in front of her. What did you say? That my family is just me and my mom, she replied. And that is enough. I hugged her tightly. Yes, I whispered. It is. On the day of a talent show, Lily stood on stage under bright lights, her sparkly dress shimmering. She didn't look for anyone in the audience. She looked straight at me. She sang with confidence, her voice steady, her posture proud. When she finished, the applause filled the room. I clapped until my hands hurt. Later, as we walked to the car, she asked, "Were you proud of me?" "Always," I said. That night, as I tucked her into bed, she said something that stopped me. "I'm glad you didn't make me go back." I brushed her hair back gently. Me too. After she fell asleep, I sat alone and let myself feel everything I'd held back. The grief of not having the mother I needed. The relief of not exposing my child to that same pain. The quiet pride of choosing differently. Family, I learned, isn't defined by who invites you to the table. It's defined by who makes room for you once you sit down. My mom had offered a celebration. What she delivered was a test. And when I chose my daughter over tradition, over guilt, over appearances, I passed it. Not because I was brave, but because I was finally clear. Clear that love without kindness isn't love. Clear that silence in the face of harm is complicity. Clear that protecting your child is never an overreaction. Some people will never understand your boundaries. That doesn't mean they're wrong. It means they're working. Lily sleeps peacefully now, unburdened by comparisons she never deserved. And I wake up each day knowing this. I didn't break my family. I ended a cycle. And in its place, I built something smaller, but infinitely stronger. A home where celebration doesn't come with conditions. A family where no child is ever made to feel like less.